Hey everyone, I'm Ken Goshen. Welcome to my studio. And today we're going to be talking about brushes. Brushes, super important. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the things that you need to know so that when you go to the shop and you say, I need some new brushes today, you can pick the right ones for the project that you are planning. So the way I think about it is, we have basically three kinds of brushes. Even two, but let's divide it into three. So we have the hard brushes, we have the soft brushes, and we have something in between, which we're going to call the medium brushes. Now, hard brushes and soft brushes do completely different things in painting. And a lot of people, when they just get into painting, they find it really difficult to achieve the effects that they're trying to create because they're using the incorrect brushes. So today I want to go into that to make sure that you know what brush does what, so that when you're planning your next painting, you can understand, oh, I need such and such brushes to be hard, such and such brushes to be soft, because then I'm going to have the right tools for the techniques that I am planning. So let's start by talking about the hard brushes. The hard brushes, commonly known as the best kind of hard brush, is this one, bristle brush. This is a natural brush, meaning it's actually made from the hair of an animal, specifically a pig. Some of them come, like you could find these in synthetic form, but I really recommend buying the natural ones because, you know, they're not so expensive and they're really, really worth it. This specific brand is Robert Simmons, Signet, and I really like them. I also like Raphael, and Rosemary has some good ones too. What the hard brushes do for you is everything that has to do with starting a painting. Alright, when you just start something, think about what happens when you start building a building. You need the aggressive tools first. You need the tractors to come in, you need some dynamite sticks, you need to clear out all the rocks, you need all the hard work, like being taken care of by some heavy machinery. That's your hard brushes. That's your heavy machinery. When you start a painting, you know, everything's moving around, everything's dynamic, there's a ton of solvent, you put something down and then you decide, it's not in the right place, I need to shove it this way, I need to shove it that way, I need to make movements, be a little aggressive, be a little forceful. You have to have a brush that can support you in this kind of activity, in this kind of action. If I were trying to be as aggressive as I need to be when I'm just building my initial stages of my painting, but I were using a brush that's too soft, that's when I hear the stuff like, oh Ken, but like once I put the paint down, like I can't move it anymore, or like, oh, I put this thing and now it's like leaking, and this is because your brushes are too weak. They're too weak. They're too weak for what you're trying to do. So when you're starting out a painting, or even when you're just continuing a painting but you want to keep this original raw aggressive energy, boom, hard brushes, that's what they do. Now, you might already guess what the soft brushes are good for. Soft brushes. My favorite kind of soft brushes are these, again, natural brushes from an animal called a sable. These are red sable brushes by Rosemary, which I find to be really good and also kind of affordable. The soft brushes do the exact opposite. They are good for the stage where you're just polishing and doing the ending things, the delicate stuff. It's like all the construction's already there, and now it's time to make it sensitive and pretty and luxurious. It's kind of like the tractors came in, you poured the cement, you put the steel bars, and now we take just sandpaper or a spatula to make the bathroom tiles look all polished and good and pretty. That's the soft brush. So when your painting has already arrived at a place where, you know, things are solid, things are where they need to be, you're happy with the overall structure, and you just want to put the, I don't like this word, but we're going to use it, quote unquote, fine details, or, you know, finishing touches, then the soft brushes are way, way, way more beneficial. Because if you constantly keep on working with the hard brush, you know, you're gonna keep on getting aggression and dynamics and all this like energetic movement, but your painting is always gonna be in a state of fluctual chaos, and you're never going to bring it to a more relaxed, temper down energy. That's what the soft brushes are good for. Also, the soft brushes are what you would want to use for techniques like glazing. Anything that involves a lot of medium, which makes your paint really liquidy, you need a soft brush for it. You have to use a soft brush for it, because if you try to glaze with a hard brush, what's going to happen is you're just going to get streak marks. You're gonna try to mix your paint, your pigment, with a lot of medium, and then, you know, working at it with the hard brush is just gonna make like a effect. You're just gonna see all those brush marks inside of your medium, and you're not gonna get a nice even layer. You're not gonna get the glaze you're looking for. These aren't the glazes you're looking for. So for all these kinds of special effects, glazing, scumbling, indirect painting, finishing touches, soft brush. So, heavy tractors, machinery, dynamite, sandpaper, spatula, last coat of paint. And the middle is what happens in between them, because no painting moves from just the beginning immediately to the end. There's a transition going. So in the early layers, you know, lots of, you know, hard brushes. Then as you progress, you kind of supplement. Maybe today I'll use half of these and then half of some medium looking brushes. So these medium brushes, the ones that I like the most, they're synthetic. They're by Winsor Newton. They're called university brushes. I find them to be, you know, awesome. They're really durable. They last for years, and they're also pretty cheap. So as I was saying, you start with your hard brushes, you move towards your medium brushes, and your finishing touches are with your soft brushes. Now, another thing that's absolutely critical to consider is your surface. Different surfaces have different textures and different levels of absorbency, and they will change your response, or should change your response as a painter, with regards to the kind of brush that you choose to use. So for example, I recently made a very big commission on wood. And on wood is completely smooth. So a completely smooth surface, if you try to start it with an aggressive brush, everything's gonna be slippery. You know, it's like painting on a window. So if your surface is very slippery, very smooth, doesn't have a texture at all, you could start your painting directly from the middle, which is exactly what I did. I started with my synthetics and then moved towards my sable, and I skipped this stage altogether, just because I was working on wood, and I knew that if there's no texture on the surface to grab a hold on my paint, then my aggressive brushes will just move the paint around and nothing's gonna stick. Too aggressive, too hard. Now, the opposite thing sometimes happens to me when I'm working on these papers, because these papers are very, very textured, and sometimes I manage to, you know, because the texture is bringing so much resistance into the game, I find that I can actually get more done with these hard brushes as opposed to these soft brushes. So the entire process is being done between the hard and the medium areas of the spectrum. So, you know, this is gonna be just like the general advice. Go from hard all the way to soft progressively, but take into account the kind of surface that you're working on, how textured it is and how absorbent it is, and let it inform your decision. Now, the most important thing, and I cannot stress this enough, is that you have to be alert in the moment. If in the moment you mixed some paint, the paint is awesome, it's indisputably awesome, and you pick it up with a brush and you lay it down and you feel like that's not how it should be laid down, do not, I repeat, do not try to fumble it into submission. Just say, maybe it's the wrong brush. Maybe for these specific circumstances under which I'm working, with this specific paint, with this specific painting surface, and at this specific time in my painting process, maybe my brush is too soft. Maybe my brush is too hard. Experiment. Change it around. Don't let a paint that you've applied and that it feels incorrect, you know, just linger there. Don't do it. Just set that brush aside, see you later, and pick a new one. And really like try to find the kind of brush that is making the marks that you're trying to make. it's really going to be worth it. Even if it takes like 5 minutes to just test out different brushes to see what brush makes the marks that you're looking for right now, you know, your painting's going to thank you. You're going to be happy. It's so worthwhile. So I totally stress this point. If it feels like it's the wrong brush, it probably is the wrong brush. And this kind of sums it up. So next time you're in the paint store, you're gonna see where to go in terms of like, here's the brush section. There's a million brushes that you need to be, you know, every brush is gonna say, this is a special squirrel, this is like a pig from whatever. Forget about it. All of these pieces of information are almost useless. What you need to go and do this. Oh, medium. Oh, very soft. Pretty hard. Just go out there, be a weirdo, touch all the brushes, and feel it out. And say, oh, you know, this is like a semi-hard brush. I could use it for this painting. Oh, but I'm just starting out a painting, and what I need is like a big, bold bristle brush. It's like, oh no, today I'm shopping for my finishing touches. Maybe I should actually go for something really soft. Maybe I'll even go to the watercolor section. All that stuff you will discover by just feeling it out. Feeling out a brush tells you way more about what that brush is going to do for you than reading all of the specs. That's my opinion. Thank you guys for watching. If you like my work, if you like these tips, please consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/Ken Goshen. You could watch a lot of long videos there, and also know that you're doing good, know that you're helping me out. I really appreciate it. And if you want to sign up for my lessons, just go to kengoshen.com/lessons. I have many options available, group lessons, private lessons, and I'm always happy to have new students. That's it. See you next time.